Hi, this is going to be a video in English. This is my second video in English for Lenguajero. And I was just participating in a conversation on Google Hangouts. It was in English with people who are learning English. And it reminded me of something that I've seen a lot in the different discussions in Lenguajero about accents and pronunciation and things like that. And it often comes up in different discussions in Lenguajero. So about whether someone should speak with an American accent or a British accent, and I guess as someone who speaks English, I always find this question a little odd, because I really don't think it matters, and it really doesn't matter what your accent is, as long as if you're learning English, as long as you are speaking in a manner which is clear, it really doesn't matter whether you're speaking with an American accent or an English accent or Australian accent or a Canadian accent. What matters is that it's English. So the first point to make is that there really is no such thing as an American accent. There are probably, I don't know, maybe there's 50 different American accents, and there's really no such thing as a British accent, because first of all, Britain consists of England, Wales, and Scotland, and across those, well, Great Britain consists of those three places, and across those different regions, there are many, many different accents. I lived in England for a couple of years, and I would say, I don't know, I'm guessing, maybe 5% of the people speak like the Queen. There are very few people that speak like this. That is not common. It's very beautiful, and it's very nice, and I like it. But the majority of people in London, for example, don't sound like that. They sound a lot different. And obviously people in Scotland sound different, and people in Wales sound different, and then people in Ireland sound different, people in Australia, people in Canada, people in New Zealand, people in South Africa. All of these people speak English, but they all have somewhat different pronunciation, different intonation, and that contributes to having a different accent. And it really doesn't matter. It doesn't impact on communication. You can still understand the words and what people are saying. The other thing is that, people say, how can I eliminate my Spanish accent when I speak in English? Or how can I sound more American or more this or whatever? You're never actually going to get rid of that native accent that you have, nor should you even try to. I hear people speaking English with a million different types of accents. They might be French and they're speaking English. They might be from Spain and they speak English. They might be from, a country in Africa where they don't speak English and they're speaking English. It really doesn't matter. You don't need to get rid of your native accent in order to be understood. And in fact, I think, that connection with your primary language is something which is appealing and attractive, and many people, rather than seeing that as a negative, actually see it as a positive thing. If I hear someone with speaking English and I know that they have a French accent, I'm like, well, okay, that person's from France. That adds something to their intrigue and appeal. Or if they speak English with an accent from Russia, I know, okay, that person was probably born in Russia. There's a story there. That's a little more interesting. And if you try and get rid of that connection with your native country and your native language, in a way, you're trying to kind of get rid of something which is a very important part of you, and there's really no reason to get rid of it. The third thing to say is that, it's kind of already mentioned it, is that I think it's variations in pronunciation and variations in intonation which together give rise to different accents. And I think, in addition to being conscious of, how you pronounce certain words, I think you also have to be conscious of the intonation and the rise and fall of your voice and the way you use sound and rhythm and when you're speaking, because obviously, each language or each accent dialect has its own special type of intonation, and if you translate that or carry across that intonation into another language, it sometimes doesn't work and it sounds a little unusual. So in addition to being conscious of pronunciation, also have to focus on intonation, and I need to do the same thing when I'm speaking Spanish, to be conscious of the way I use my voice and the rhythm. Okay, And that's 5 minutes. I'm going to finish it here. Thanks.